Hi to the collective that joins me here today. I intend that this message finds you as and when it is meant to, and trust that if you're here resonating with anything I'm saying, that this is what you need to hear today. The first thing that I was getting coming through was about Friday the 13th, and for a lot of people this can hold fear. I personally believe this is like indoctrinated fear through religion and through the church, back in the 1600s, when old pagan ways were being demonized, and the divine feminine was being demonized, and patriarchal structures took over, not just in religion and in society in general, and goddess was demonized and kind of eradicated from society. And the whole witch wound, witches, healers, midwives, just the divine feminine was persecuted. And obviously, thank God, we're coming to a return of the divine feminine now. It's really strongly coming through me and through all of us, a call to balancing out our masculine feminine energies and being in our intuitive knowing and gifts, and coming into the heart and the feeling, and getting, not always being in the mind and trying to like work everything out mentally, which is amazing. It's a drastic shift for a lot of people when we're so conditioned to be in the masculine. It takes a lot of conscious awareness to step in and trust our heart space, our intuition, and the messages that are coming forwards. So yeah, Friday the 13th. 13, originally there were 13 months in the year. There was exactly 28 days. I believe I'm correct in saying that. There were originally 28 days per month, and so all women would menstruate. You'd know exactly when you were coming and going. And the moon, there's a whole thing about the moon goddess, Sin. The word sin comes from the moon. It was never sin as in how it was demonized to church. Like, sin is literally divine feminine, moon goddess, womb energy, the waters, the intuition. And it was turned into the word that we know sin as, with the negative connotation of like, oh, you committed a crime, you've done something wrong. I mean, side point, but look at all the horror films like Carrie, where women are like just bleeding and menstruating is seen as such a negative thing, a dirty, unclean thing. And thank God we're, like I said, the divine feminine is coming back in. Even period adverts now are kind of showing messy realness of that time of the month. And me, myself personally, and a lot of other divine feminists have been doing this, have been surrendering to the flow, as in surrendering to the moment, each and every moment, but particularly at those time of the month, like not resisting and hating. And kind of look at any groups of women in society, in schools, in workplaces, everybody moans about it. And I'm not saying there isn't tough or emotional moments, but when we lean into and surrender what's going on and accept, things are never as hard. It's kind of a mental resistance and a barrier we create by creating that resistance. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. If you imagine something that's going to be bad and hard experience, then that kind of will be the experience, because you preset that as the mindset, if that makes sense. Anyway, there's so many things I could say about that, and horror films are particularly about the feminine and all that stuff, but aside, that'll be another video maybe. Lucky for some, not true. I believe it's a very lucky number. It's a very divine feminine number. It's a goddess number. 13 months originally, 28 days each month, aligning with the moon, with the sacred, and that was shifted, I believe, in the Gregorian calendar, and made it much harder for women. Like, how much easier would it be if we were just like, everything was synced up, and for everybody just knowing like the first of every month is on this day, and like how much clearer would that be? But yeah, 13. Do you feel unlucky about that number? Where does that fear come from? Is it society? Is it family? What have you been told about that number and about Friday the 13th? And collectively in culture, we tend to have the same association of like horror films or Friday the 13th or something bad going to happen. And I do believe if you I'm not saying if you believe it you'll experience it, but it's like the whatever energy you embody, you experience. So it's kind of like if you go into your day thinking that, then you're more likely to at least be able to easily pinpoint things that don't go as planned or are more frustrating to you. So I just say embrace it, embrace the feminine energy, embrace whatever's happening, and lean into the good look of it, the divine feminine nature of it. The 13, like 13 is a very sacred number. It's a very spiritual number. I mean, look at 1 is ascended masters, new beginnings, alignment with the universe, fresh starts, syncing up with things. 3 is ascended master number. Jesus Christ is, believed to be 33 years old. Christ consciousness. And 3 is a very sacred number, so 13, I just think it's very powerful. Yeah, I'm getting something coming through about Friday as well being a very sacred day. I haven't looked into that particularly, but I'm getting that in pagan times. I say pagan times, but when it was more heavily practiced and goddess cultures, that Friday was a sacred day, you know, before the weekend is Friday. I think there was something with goddess sun worship on Fridays. I'm kind of seeing in my mind's eye like frying, heat, but not in a bad way, like in the sun, like things are heating up. And I kind of get that what's going on right now. Things are heating up, like it feels cold and wet outside, and we're stepping into spring, into the Chinese New Year, the year of the horse. Things are raring to go, gestating, and yeah, despite what it looks like on the outside, I think there's going to be a lot of drastic changes coming in, and in for the best. Anything that no longer serves is being cleared out of our systems now, and I say thank God for that, because I think some things have been a long time coming. And I keep getting the message about AA, and now obviously we can associate that with in the UK driving schools AA, or I think in America the help groups is it Alcoholics Anonymous, can't say that word, AA. But I've been getting it, and the other day it came through as AA acceptance, awareness and acceptance. And for me, they're the key things in meditation, but also in any difficult emotional feeling or situation. If we can hold awareness of that thing that's happening externally, but mostly internally, what's coming up for us, and if we can accept it, then that allows resistance to disappear. And when resistance goes, energy flows, I just heard, but things flow, things soften, get easier. We're not in anxiety or fear because we're not resisting, we're accepting and allowing the difficult emotions, obviously the positive, but this is a practice when there's anything difficult coming up, because it really helps us to soften into it and accept it and dissolve it, alchemize it. And obviously you can do this with any moment. This is what true meditation is awareness, acceptance of the moment, of all things, sounds, noises, beings, anything we're encountering, I believe is true meditation. True meditation is not quietening the mind. I mean, obviously eventually the mind does become quiet, you tap into the heart space, but you do that through accepting all thoughts, being aware of everything and accepting it, and that is true meditation. So I don't know if that's resonating with somebody. I'm saying that for a reason. And I'm just getting called to say something about getaway retreats, weekends, giving yourself some time off. I mean, maybe easier said than done, whatever you've got going on. Everyone's got different responsibilities, but flipping the script, the perspective, where do you long for freedom in your life, and where do you already have that freedom? It's kind of perceiving things differently. We all think, oh, we're tied down to certain things, but actually, is that an illusion? Where is the magic? Where is our freedom? And how can we gift ourselves more of that? Like particularly Valentine's weekend, self-love is so important. You know, how can you give yourself the thing that you long for others to give you? And if there is something you've been waiting for someone else to give you, why is that? Do you believe you can't give it to yourself? Do you trust others more than you trust yourself? I mean, I've definitely experienced that. My belief has always been in trusting what others say more than myself, and I've learned slowly but steadily, like, to have faith and believe and trust in myself, in my gifts, what's coming through me, for others. And just because somebody else has said it doesn't mean it's true. That's their words, their experience from where they are at this time, and maybe it resonates with you and maybe it doesn't. And as we know, as within so without, mirrors are everywhere. So if you're hearing something and it triggers something in you, yeah, it's easy to blame and point fingers, but where can we take accountability for that and say, actually, where is this reflecting something within myself that's uncomfortable, that wants to come up to heal, and thank this person and thank the universe for showing me through them where I still have some work and healing to do. And obviously we know shadow work is endless, and so is light work, for the highest good of humanity. But we're constantly healing and growing and learning, and what a beautiful experience to embrace in this lifetime, to go through all of it. You hear mediums and shamans every week, and anyone that downloads messages, I get quite often that life, we come here as souls to experience earth and life on the earth plane, and that is everything that entails. So the pain, the hardships, the raw emotions, the lack, the loss, the longings, and the abundance, the bliss, the beauty, the senses, sight, sounds, nature, breath. Wow, are we lucky to be able to breathe independently, to see the greenery. I always bang on about the greenery in nature, but we're just so blessed. And everybody in England, such moaners, probably myself included, because it's my conditioning, let's be honest, we are a product of our society, but I notice it more and more now as you step up in higher awareness, no better or worse than anyone else, but conscious of our surroundings and what people are saying and the narratives they're applying. And isn't it funny that it's so easy, it's probably worldwide, but in the UK particularly, just to moan, and everyone says, oh, it's miserable, it's a miserable day when it's raining. And like, I just get so sick of that narrative, because yeah, if you intend that, then you'll experience that. But why does it have to be miserable? Can't we flip the script and say, what a beautiful day? Isn't this rain giving us luscious grass and fresh oxygen in the trees? Like a walk in the forest or in the woodland, wherever, in the fields, after it's been raining, is so beautiful and divine and fresh, and the air is incredible, and like, not there's hardly anybody outside in those moments, and they're just, I feel missing out on the beautiful oxygen, and choosing, let's be honest, to be inside in concrete buildings somewhere, whatever, on phones, tech with the radiation, and I don't know. It's a choice. We always have a choice, and we're going through a collective shift right now. And I think a lot of people are aware of that and want to shift away from the phones, particularly the younger generation, because they've grown up with it and it's so deeply entrenched and conditioned into them that it's very addictive and hard to step away from, even when they know it's not necessarily serving their highest good. And so I'd say with that, go easy on yourself if you're experiencing anything like that, or within your family, like accept where you're at. You know, I hate the word realistic, so it's not about setting realistic expectations, but it is about baby steps and not kind of being a perfectionist and thinking you should be further ahead than where you are. Accepting the moment, observing the moment with awareness and unconditional love of where you're at. You're not meant to be further ahead than where you are, even though we're always kind of constantly wishing for something different, or for the weekend, or for the next week, for the next month, whatever, for the holidays. It's like, how can we find presence and bliss and beauty in this moment, despite any pain or fear you may be feeling? Where can we have gratitude for the beautiful, the beauty in life? And so yeah, we chose to come here at this time to incarnate, and it's very magical what's going on, even though, you know, it might not seem that. On the surface, there's, you know, wars and arguments and political shit, and it's just kind of like a messy pot cauldron. And like I was channeling the other day, creation comes from chaos. Birth is creation through pain, through chaos. Divine chaos, this tower moment, this collective tower moment we're going through. So in your life, if things look chaotic and feel chaotic, trust that that is divine creation happening through the purging of the old, and that the new is being born. And yeah, if you're hearing this, then there is a message for you somewhere in this, so take what resonates for you. And I'd love to hear down below in the comments, like, what you're going through, what you're purging or alchemizing at the moment. There's a lot of family line ancestral stuff coming up to clear, so if you're like on the front lines going through that, I send you so much love and gratitude for all of us on the planet who are doing this light work and helping us all to ascend and holding space. Really, that's what we're doing. Some of us that have been on this path for a while now are really being called to hold space for others who are just going through this massive shift and change and awakening, and the fear that comes with that, of your whole world shifting and the rug, you know, metaphorically being pulled from beneath your feet. So hold space and do your best, as I try my best every day, to unconditionally love others, even when they trigger us, even when they may be coming from a lower vibration of fear, because they're a human, they have a soul. And obviously I'm preaching now, but it's kind of like they have good in them despite any fear or ego coming out. It's old patterns and childhood wounds trying to protect them. So, you know, and again, mirrors are everywhere. So how can we hold compassion and space for them in those moments of shifting, those tower moments, a collective awakening and alchemization that's going on? Mid-February, year of the fire horse, big shifts and changes. So just go easy with yourself. I'm hearing the word numb. I feel like there may be somebody here that's been feeling numb for a while and waiting for a shift and change to happen, and I'm just getting that trust that it is coming. Often the moments when we feel like giving up hope, that's when the universe answers. You know, when you're down on your knees begging, praying for a sign, praying for a shift, for a change, for whatever it is, and also it is stepping out of victimhood mentality, and or not, you know, this is not always the case, but not always waiting for something or someone external to come and save us, because you have everything you need within you to be the savior in your own life. You can be the princess, the prince, and the savior. It's not always about somebody else. So obviously, yeah, trusting in the universe and divine timing, that you're exactly where you're meant to be right now, going through exactly what you're meant to be going through right now. Oh, I can really feel that in my throat, which is always throat chakra clearing. And I think this is associated to family line, speaking up, setting boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable, standing your ground, knowing when to walk away, not necessarily indefinitely, but from uncomfortable conversations, and having the courage to speak up for yourself, because sometimes nobody else will. So yeah, trust the universe, everything is happening as it's meant to, and it will come in. The thing you're wanting will come in when it's meant to. And just reflect on how you can help bring that in for yourself. How can you be your own savior? And I'll leave that thought with you. Let me know what you're saving yourself from at the moment, if that resonates. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks very much. Blessings to you, and bye for now.